Somehow or other we lost you. I don't know what happened. Hare Krishna, welcome back. Hare Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. I don't know what happened. I looked at the camera and everything had turned off. So, I'm assuming, Krishna Priya, that you have all the questions from yesterday that we didn't answer. And you're going to not put those questions up. Is that correct? Because we had promised yesterday. Questions. Yes, so we're waiting. While we're waiting, I want to read something. This is a statement from Srila Prabhupada. No. Where is that statement? Oh, yeah. I don't have the statement. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, the beginning of chapter 8, Bhagavad Gita. Let's see, do we have the questions for today? Oh, today's Indradum Swami's Vyas Puja. Haribol. Jai Maharaj, all glories to you and your service. You have the quotes, but not the questions. Oh, is it possible that somebody can go from yesterday's class, get it up on, and get the questions and put them here? Anyway, okay. So the first verse, Arjuna is concerned about remembering Krishna at death. You want to put that up? Krishna Priya. Her name is Namrak, and I call her Namrak. I don't know how you pronounce it. Nemrach. So under Nemac, you're going to see the quotes. She's going to put this up. But this is just, I believe, the first or second verse of the Bhagavad Gita, and I was reading something today and this verse came up, and I'm just bringing it up because I thought it was interesting. Arjuna asked this question. I find it interesting to analyze why he's asking this question. Of course, Krishna is putting him in a position to ask the right questions, because that's what Krishna does. He inspires his devotees to ask the right questions. So this is, I believe it's the first verse. He asks, how can those engaged in devotional service, the self-controlled, know you at the time of death? And I thought, it's interesting, an interesting question. Now you may think, what's so interesting about that? Well, first, how many people ask that question? How can I know God at the time of death? We might ask, how can I know God? But how can I know God at the time of death? That question isn't asked because, at least from what I know of Christianity, whether you remember God at the time of death or not is not the issue. The issue is whether you've been saved. Whether you've been saved now. And if you're not saved now, doesn't matter if you remember God. Weird, isn't it? But if you're saved now, then you're good. So your meditation on God is not necessary. But in the Vedic system, we don't understand things this way. And so Arjuna, it just reflects the whole culture in which Arjuna lived, that he would be thinking that it's important to remember Krishna at death. Isn't that interesting? That why, that's how people are trained to think. As we've been talking about, a few weeks ago, life's final exam. And so we know this. It seems like a simple point, but then when I read it, I thought, well, it's interesting that he's asking this question. It must be, we could understand a reflection of how educated people thought in those days, like how I can perfect my life specifically by passing in Krishna consciousness at the time of death. That's how people thought. Yeah. Okay, so there's the verse. And so now this chapter 8, you may remember, is all about leaving your body, how the yogis leave their bodies through the top of the head at a certain time and so forth. So Arjuna's question leads Krishna to answer. And after Krishna answers, this is the right time, the right season, the right way to leave your body, then he says, but if you're a devotee and you remember me, you don't need all of this other. It doesn't matter. It's auspicious and you'll come to me if you remember me. So obviously Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to ask this question, because then Krishna can speak about leaving the body, which is such an important topic. It's the ultimate, kind of in a sense, one of the ultimate topics of the Gita, although it's not stated that way. Well, the ultimate topics of the Vedas, as we discussed. So when I saw this, I thought, that's interesting. Arjuna would ask this question. Like, he's not asking, what is death? At least now he knows there is no death. But he's asking how to remember you. And Krishna, is trying to get him to be Krishna conscious. So how can I be Krishna conscious at death? Interesting question. Okay, so Krishna Priya, the next one is called Face the Facts. Can you put that up? Well, actually, if you put that up, it's too much. Can you put up... 1, 2... the paragraph ending in spiritual life. I think you can call it the 5th paragraph. 1, 2. You call it the 4th paragraph. Go up to... So, face the facts. 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs. 3rd paragraph, hear what Prabhupada says. The next paragraph, put those up. So this is an article by Rabindra Swarup Prabhu. You started too low. Oh no, there it is. Face the facts. I'm just going to read this and discuss it. It's a little bit out of context, so I'll try to bring in the context. And if anybody is able to find the questions from yesterday, and excuse me, just let me know. Put the questions up and we'll deal with them. So, it is hard for us to accept our mortality. For that reason, Krishna actually lists it as one of the items of knowledge. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, doshanudarshanam. Knowledge of the evils of birth, death, old age, and disease, Bhagavad Gita 13:9. So here's the point. He felt it necessary to list it, even though it is obvious to everyone. Hamlet's mother rebukes her son for his prolonged mourning for his late father. She says, "Thou knowest 'tis common," she says. "All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity." We all know it, but it is listed by Krishna as an element of knowledge, because actually people don't know it. The condition is called being in denial. Wow. Should we put some music to that? You're all saying yes. I can't guarantee this music I'm going to put to it is going to work, but let's try for some special effects. And I heard last time the music was too loud. So we'll make it quieter. And then I want to see, it's interesting because when I'm reading this, a lot of what I'm reading sounds like, well, we already know these things. This is common knowledge. But something stood out here when I read this, and I want to see if it stood out for you. Oh, this is a... So, it is hard for us to accept our mortality. For that reason, Krishna actually lists it as one of the items of knowledge. Janma, Mritu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha Doshanudarshanam. Knowledge of the evils of birth, death, old age, and disease. He felt it necessary to list it, even though it is obvious to everyone. Hamlet's mother rebukes her son for his prolonged mourning for his late father. "Thou knowest 'tis common," she says. "All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity." We all know it, but it is listed by Krishna as an element of knowledge, because actually people don't know it. That condition is called being in denial. Okay, how was that? Were the sound levels better than last time? Okay. I think maybe Shakespeare's words became a little more interesting with a little background music. Okay. I just want to mention that I was fooling around the other day, and I recorded a pastime with music, and I think I could actually play it for you, because I think you could actually hear it. But we're going to experiment. If there's time, we'll experiment at the end. I want to see if you can hear this. It's like 4 minutes or so. It's actually a summary of the Rasa Lila. It's really nice. And I'm going to redo it. It was an experiment. So stay tuned. Don't go away, because we'll play that at the end. And we're giving out, stay tuned to the end of the show, because we're giving out prizes. Oh, what prizes are you giving out? Krishna's mercy. Okay, hold on. Let me clean the lens, so everything becomes, Maya's fuzzy covering is cleared. Okay, so what stood out about this is when Rabindranath Swarup said something that just, I thought, well, it was interesting. He said, it's hard for us to accept our mortality, and we know this. And because human psychology is such that things which are difficult to accept, most people just pretend they don't exist, and that's the easiest way to deal with it. It just, I don't want to think about it. Prabhu, your rent's coming up and you don't have any money. I don't want to think about it. Prabhu, your final exam's coming tomorrow and you haven't prepared for it. I don't want to think about it. Prabhu, your wife's really unhappy with you because this and that. I don't want to think about it. This human nature is such that there's certain things that are very difficult to think about. So what to speak of death, just other things in this world we don't think about. So, Rabindranath Swarup Prabhu says, that's why Krishna calls this an item of knowledge. And so you'd think, I never thought of it this way, but it's interesting. Why would death be an item of knowledge? Because everyone's denying it. So when you deny something and I tell you, no, this is how it is, that becomes knowledge, even though what I'm telling you is common sense. So there's a book by a man named Becker, I believe it won a Nobel Prize. I don't know his first name. Maybe some of you know. And the book is called The Denial of Death, and he goes into the whole psychology of the denial of death. And he juxtaposes it to this idea that is obvious, and we're denying it. And so he investigates the psychology of denial, specifically of denial of death, and how something is so much in your face and you deny it. Now, this is really interesting because there's a part of this article that I don't think I put in, but he was saying that the tradition, I don't know if this was just a religious tradition or a philosophical tradition or maybe a common tradition, at a certain time in the history of the world, maybe Middle Ages, I believe. It was not uncommon for people to have pictures or skulls or some reminder of death. It was considered, I don't want to say fashionable, but it was considered useful. Oh, I know what the problem is. My seat is low. Oh, it's okay. I'm down lower than normal. So people would have some reminder, some little skull or an actual real skull or a picture or something. They'd have some reminder of death just because, as Krishna says here, it's considered an item of knowledge. So this is, you could say, kind of enlightenment, that you understand and you're aware of what is obvious. Because Krishna's point is, if you're aware of it, your life will be different, obviously, right? Just like if any of us knew we had to die, our life would be different. So similarly, if you're conscious of death, your life is different. And that's why our lives are different. And that's why people say, are you going to do this? Non-devotees. And we say, no, I'm not interested. And they can't understand why. And then you might say, well, if you knew you were going to die next week, would you really go to this or do this? And they might say, probably not. I would do other things. And say, well, that's how I think, that at any moment I could go and my life is meant for being able to deal with this reality. And so that's why this is not so important for me. Okay. So how did death become an item of knowledge when it's obvious and everywhere you look there's death? Dead bugs are lying around your house. People now, especially, we're hearing about with the coronavirus. At least we're being made aware. I don't know. I was told more people die of the flu, but at least we're being made aware of the deaths from this virus because it's a new virus. So death is on our mind. So how death is an item of knowledge is quite interesting, isn't it? So what's the point? We're expert at denying it. We're expert at pushing it away. We're expert at making believe it's not going to happen to me, at least not soon. So Krishna has to say, hello, knock, 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 hello, did you know? You don't die. No. Did you know there is death? Why are you telling me? I'm trying to forget it. So Rabindra Swarup tells a story. He was giving a lecture on Sunday feast, and he was talking about these things. And a lady objected, this is like morbid, literally. And as I mentioned in another class, it's interesting how people would object. People object to the fact that you're actually describing the way the world is. They'd rather you don't describe the way the world is. They'd rather you describe the way they would like to see the world. Isn't it interesting? Don't you find that interesting? If you actually describe the way the world is, people won't like you. If you describe the way the world isn't, the way we'd like to make believe it is, people will like you. So that's why sometimes people don't like devotees, because we actually tell them things as they are. And, the truth is upsetting. So not everybody is really ready for the truth. Like many devotees we realized these things. We thought about death. We thought about these things. And so when the devotees talked about it, we were thinking, yeah, I've thought about this. I wanted to make sense of this. No one made sense of this until you spoke about it. So we're sitting in Bhagavad Gita class and they're talking about death and old age and misery. And we're saying, yeah, I've thought about this. Yeah, I've questioned this. I need to know answers. And other people, why are you so negative? This is so depressing. You're so pessimistic. You're supposed to be spiritual. This is like nauseating what you're talking about. Why don't you be more positive? Isn't it? So as those who are devotees, who are ready to become devotees, they think differently about this. So this is an item of knowledge, is one of the items of knowledge listed in Bhagavad Gita. Don't deny the fact you're going to get old, you're going to get diseased, you're going to die. There's a book It's interesting. It's called In Search of the Obvious. And it's an advertising book, but it reveals the psychology, human psychology, and that he said some truths are so obvious that nobody can see them. Like Prabhupada said, it's so simple you can miss it. He said some things are so obvious, and in the search for something better, he just gives anecdotal evidence of how people did, in the name of improving, that made things worse. So they couldn't see the obvious, that no, A is working, you don't need B. And they thought, no, B will be better because A is too simple. A couldn't work because it's too simple, but A is actually working, and they're denying that it's working because it shouldn't work. Like, let me give you an example. I don't know if you can relate to this, but sometimes a YouTube video or a song or something goes viral, and you look at it and you think, this should not go viral. You know, it's just like somebody singing a song and just a guitar, and that's it. You know, it took like an hour to record, and it's like, no, this can't go viral. It's too simple. Or somebody says, just, you know, picks up their phones, walking around, says something, goes viral. So it's kind of like denial. No, but it is viral. No, but it's not supposed to be. Something like that. So, okay, that's point number one. And we're going to read the purport. So if you scroll down a little bit under name Raksh, name, you will find the purport. And we've read this purport before, but now within this context, let's read it again. One should try to understand the distresses of accepting birth and death. Oh, you want music, right? Okay, let's try this with music. Let's see how this works. Okay. Go back a little bit in the song. Give us some time. One should try to understand the distresses of accepting birth, death, old age, and disease. There are descriptions in various Vedic literatures of birth. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the world of the unborn, the child's stay in the womb of the mother, its suffering, and so on, are all very graphically described. It should be thoroughly understood that birth is distressful. Because we forget how much distress we have suffered within the womb of the mother, we do not make any solution to the repetition of birth and death. Similarly, at the time of death, there are all kinds of sufferings, and they are also mentioned in the authoritative scriptures. These should be discussed. And as far as disease and old age, everyone gets practical experience. No one wants to be diseased, and no one wants to become old. But there is no avoiding these. Unless we have a pessimistic view of this material life, considering the distresses of birth, death, old age, and disease, there is no impetus for our making advancement in spiritual life. I think that was divinely arranged because the song ended as soon as I finished reading the purport. Hare Krishna. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing here that did you pick up on this statement that Prabhupada said? I don't think, maybe you pick it up on it, but I was looking at this statement from the viewpoint of non-devotees. He's talking about the distresses of birth, the distresses of death, the distresses of old age and disease, and then he says these things should be discussed. And an average person would think, why would you want to discuss these things? Doesn't make sense. You want to discuss beautiful things, right? And all Prabhupada is saying, really, he's just saying, you should discuss reality. You should be talking about what's actually happening. And then he explains, why should you discuss it? And of course, we've discussed this before, but I think it's always worth discussing again. Let me read the last sentence. Unless we have a pessimistic view of this material life, considering the distresses of birth, death, old age, and disease, there is no impetus for our making advancement in spiritual life. So you remember, often I would ask the question, say, well, how many of you, if your life was perfect, if you had unlimited money, unlimited beauty, unlimited health, unlimited whatever you wanted, how many of you would be here right now listening to this class? And no one raises their hand, because we realize if everything were perfect, why would I go to Krishna? And so, Brahma Bhuvanaloka, Krishna says, I created the world just so you could suffer. Basically, that's what he's saying. Why did I create the world so you could suffer? Because I love you, because there will be no impetus for our making advancement in spiritual life. Wow, look at that. We've gone out of focus. That's amazing. I don't know why. Life is interesting. Oh, there we go. Hare Krishna. What does that mean? Yeah, so life goes out of focus when you don't discuss birth, old age, disease, and death. That's what it means. That's exactly what it means. You lose focus when you don't discuss these things. So this point is very important, just to fully accept it, 108%. And once you fully accept this point that I would not be Krishna conscious and I would not have impetus to be Krishna conscious up to a certain point in my advancement, unless there was distress. At a certain point, your impetus is not going to be from distress. It's going to be from taste. It's going to be from your own desire, your own need for a relationship with Krishna. But until then, the miseries push from behind. They push us. When we want to run away, the miseries, like sometimes, it's so hard. I don't want to be a devotee. It's so hard. And you try to run away, and then what happens? Well, there's all this misery behind you, and you just run into the misery. And then you say, okay, I can't go that way. I guess I have to turn around and go to Krishna. It's a safety. Misery is a safety net. Suffering is a safety net. Tribulation is a safety net. Isn't it? You agree? Raise your lotus hand if you agree. I can't see you raise your hand. Yeah. So that's important to understand. But what Krishna is saying is it's not always necessary that you have to experience the suffering, because Krishna is saying here, and Prabhupada is saying here, just discuss it. Just discuss it. And by discussing it, in a sense, for many of us, you get the same benefit as going through it. Now, some of you might say, well, when I go through it, it's better. And that may be true. But hopefully, as we become more Brahminical and our intelligence becomes more subtle, refined, and nuanced, by discussing these things, it's sufficient. That's all we need. Just, you talk about it, and therefore, Krishna says, you should talk about it. What a morbid thing to talk about. No, it's inspiring. It's clarifying. It's inspiring. That's Prabhupada's point. Talking about death is actually inspiring us to get out of the material world. So, today's class, what did you learn in today's class? Today's class, we learned that we should talk about death. We should talk about old age and disease as much as possible. Maybe even 24/7 if possible. Just talk about that. And as long as you talk about that and remind yourself that's what's waiting on the horizon, you'll be inspired. Prabhu, how do I get inspired? I'm not very enthusiastic for devotional service. How do I get inspired? Spend today talking about death and old age and disease. That's all I want you to talk about today. Just those three things. You'll get really inspired. Well, maybe not exactly inspired, but you'll realize by talking about it, you don't have an alternative. There's no alternative to, you want to make your plans for enjoyment and talk about death, old age, and disease, and all of a sudden your plans don't look so good anymore. So that it's kind of it's the neutralizing factor. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And I finally said it. What I was trying to say, I finally said it. Congratulations, Mahatma. You finally said what you were trying to say. It's it's the neutralizing factor. You have all these illusions about enjoyment, and then you talk about, I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to do this and that, and your friend calls you. I'm saying, yeah, but you're going to die and get old and diseased. So get real, Prabhu. And all of a sudden your vacation's not looking so good. But I was going to go to this island and go swimming and skiing and this. Yeah, Prabhu, but you're going to die, and you could die on that vacation. Anyway, it's not going to stop you from getting old. And you could get sick drinking the water in that country. Oh, okay. We could do a little, that's another Bhakta Burfi, right? You tell Bhakta Burfi, I'm gonna do this and I'm going to do that. And Bhakta Burfi is, yeah, but you could die today. Anyway, you're going to get old. And when you're old, you're not going to be able to enjoy that vacation. Why waste your time and money? So, yeah, reality. Reality, that's not so nice. Who wants to talk about reality? Let's go to the movies. Let's watch something unreal. It's much more pleasing. I was saying the other night, a lot of people go to movies because their own relationships, their amorous relationships, conjugal relationships, aren't so good. So they go to the movies and watch some make-believe relationship like it exists. It doesn't exist. But let's watch a better relationship, because my relationship, it's not nice. So let me watch someone else's relationship that seems nice. Something like that. So, it's another video, Bhakta Burfi. It'll be called Bhakta Burfi Rains on Your Parade. So it shows all these scenes, and these devotees are saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going, where are you going? I'm going here. I'm going to buy a new this. And Bhakta Burfi goes, Prabhu, don't get so excited. You could die any moment. Plus, what's the big deal? You're getting old every day. And you're probably going to get sick tomorrow. So just save your money. Give it to the temple. You don't need to buy that. Something like that. So it's birth, old age, disease, and death are the neutralizing factor to neutralize the illusion. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to do this. Yeah, but. So that's the idea. So thank you, Krishna. I was thinking, there's a devotee who was just diagnosed with 4th stage cancer. And, that's sad. But if the devotee's like 92, it's not that sad, because, at the age of 92, they're not going to live that much longer, and they've lived their entire life. And isn't it? This devotee's like in her 30s. So it was a shock. And then another devotee mentioned that her astrology was done years ago, and it said in her astrology, it was very clear she's going back to Godhead. So I was thinking, wow, she's fortunate. She didn't have to stick around for another 40, 50 years, watch her body get old, watch this world go wherever it goes. She gets to go back to Godhead now. Wow, she's so lucky. If I were only that fortunate that I could go back to Godhead now and I'd have to stick around and watch my body get old. Of course, we don't think that way, but because we were giving all these classes, I was spinning it around thinking, if she's going back to Godhead, then we should all be happy. So, wow, in a few months you're going to be dancing with Krishna. We're going to be down here going to work while you're dancing with Krishna. So, we shouldn't be lamenting that you're going. We should be lamenting that I didn't go with you. But we don't lament like that. I think, oh, it's so bad. Hope this doesn't happen to me. Yeah, well, good luck, Prabhu. It's going to happen. So, but we had, when I found out this news, we had just given the class that morning when I was saying how this material world isn't needed and the body's not needed. It's only needed for sense gratification. But if you want to engage fully in Krishna consciousness, you don't need this body. What's the point of it? Right? This body was designed, the body that we're in is designed for sense gratification. That's what it was done. That's why we got it, because we wanted it. And that's why Prabhupada said, make the best use of a bad bargain. You got this body not to serve Krishna. You got this body for sense gratification. That's what it's designed for. So if you, and look what's going on in this crazy world. Who can imagine 20 years from now how insane things are going to be and what the next generation of kids, how their brains are going to be wired, Maybe they'll all be like robots. We have no idea what people are going to be like. We have no idea how damaged the planet's going to be. We have no idea how people are going to be thinking. And so I was thinking, wow, she is lucky. She gets to dance with Krishna now. She doesn't have to live to be old. She gets, the sooner you go back to Godhead, the better, right? I mean, just objectively speaking, whoever can go back to Godhead first, yay, Haribol, Prabhu, you're so fortunate. You're the first one. Like we're passing out birthday cake. Hey, you're the first one to get it. I had to wait an hour in the back of the line. So we don't think all the people in the back of the line are fortunate. We think all the people in the front of the line are fortunate. So I was thinking, she's in the front of the line. She gets to go back to Godhead first. She's young. She doesn't have to experience old age. Wow. Hare Krishna. That's one way of seeing it, right? And that is the real way of seeing it, especially if you know this person is like a liberated soul. They're going back to Krishna. Then you get to go now, while all us poor souls, we have to remain in this world. Of course, as devotees, we say, no, but I can do service and this and that. Yeah, that's there. I understand that. But I'm just giving some context here of another way to see it. Oh, this person's leaving their body. Okay, well, let's make sure everything is good. And it's like if you're going on a vacation to some paradise, nobody laments. Oh, it's so bad, she's going. Oh, we're not going to see you. You're going to be in this beautiful island and, having so much fun. And that's not fair. We're not going to see you. We're all lamenting like this is so bad. It's going to be so bad for you. When actually, it's good. Right? I mean, if you could meet Krishna tomorrow, is that good? You like that idea? Yes? If you could go out, if like tomorrow at this time you were with Krishna herding cows, would that be better than what's going on tomorrow for you? And just think, you go back to Godhead, you don't have to wash your clothes. No more laundry. No more shopping. You don't even have to go to the toilet. You don't have to sleep if you don't want. I mean, sounds better than what I'm going to do tomorrow, of course. You might say, no, but you're doing devotional service. Okay, we understand that, but we're not making that point now. So, Hare Krishna. So, I think the point is that I probably wouldn't have been thinking exactly like that. At least I probably wouldn't have been thinking exactly like that quickly. I thought, wow, she's so fortunate. Going back to Godhead so soon. And all of us are unfortunate. And we're thinking, she's unfortunate. We're fortunate because we're not dying. She's unfortunate that she's dying. And I immediately thought, no, it's the other way around. And then I realized because of these classes, my mind is thinking differently about death. It immediately thought that way. And that proves this point that by talking about birth, disease, old age, and death, you live the reality. This is the reality. She gets to go back to God. It's not fair. Why does she get to go? Why do I have to stay here? She's only 35. I should be able to go now. I'm 70. Why does she get to go first? It's not fair. I want my cake first. We don't think like that. When you hear about someone who's dying, probably the back of your mind there's some thought, glad it's not me. Like, oh, that's so bad, so bad, so bad. There's some thought, well, I'm fortunate. Maybe not glad it's not me, but I'm fortunate that I'm still alive somehow or other. Isn't it? No. Yeah, if you can serve Krishna, okay, we understand that you do devotional services, everything's good, fortunate. But from the other position, they're more fortunate because they're getting closer to Krishna by this process of leaving. So, now, Srila Prabhupada, I just want to come back life after life and serve you. No. Come back life after life and go to the next movie, that's what you'll come back for. There's always, so go, get out, go back to Godhead. Material existence is over. Wow. Okay, look at it this way. Living entity's been in the material world for who knows how long, as I often say, bigger number than your iPhone can display. And finally, the living entity gets to end their material existence. That's kind of a huge event. It's kind of like, we say a once-in-a-lifetime event. This is not a once-in-a-lifetime event. It's a once-in-your-material-existence event. There's a difference, right? Wow, I got to go to this Greek island, in these caves and blah, blah. It was a once-in-a-lifetime event. All right, this is a once-in-a-universal creation event. You get to go back to Godhead. So, the devotee's dying. They're preparing to go back to Godhead. That is such a rare event. It's a once in a universal it's a once in this universal creation event. It's a once in many universal creations event. It's so rare. And we're thinking, oh, it's so bad, and we lament. But it actually is like, celebrate. This is like the culmination. This person is ending their material existence. They're going back to Krishna. Like, what could be better than that? I mean, think about it. Finally, they're getting to go back to Krishna after millions of lifetimes, and we're lamenting? You remember that? Prabhu, dance on my samadhi. That's all I can say. Well, we won't all have samadhis, but Dance on my ashes. Yeah, that's what we can say. Prabhu, when I die, dance on my ashes. Celebrate that I've ended this material existence. I met a pure devotee, and I'm on my way back to Godhead. I was trying to remember that song. Remember I told you yesterday, the day before? There's a song, We're Going Back to Godhead. The song is, Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising, and it's not at all surprising. We'll be dancing in the street, telling everyone we meet, we're going home, we're going home. Have any of you heard that song? No, I don't even remember if I can play it. Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising, and it's not at all surprising that we're dancing in the street, telling everyone we meet, we're going home, home, oh, home. Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising, and it's not at all surprising that we're dancing in the street, telling everyone we meet, we're going home. Those are the words, the melody. I used to be able to play it on guitar. Anyway, if I pick up my guitar, I could play it. You want me to play it, right? Well, another time. We're telling everyone we're going home. Yeah, so it's a celebration. What are you doing out here? We're preparing to go home. But it looks like you're singing and dancing. Yeah, exactly. We're preparing to go home because that's what we do when we get home. We sing and dance. So we're practicing now. What are you doing? I'm going to work. Well, yeah, you're preparing for another body because that's what you do in the material world. You work. That's the name of the game. Here's, you leave the spiritual world and Krishna says, here's your work permit. You can now go work, for like a zillion lifetimes. So, you want to sit here and work like an ass. Yeah, you're preparing your next body to work like an ass again. You want to dance and chant on the street. You're preparing to dance and chant eternally. So take your pick. What do you want to do? Hare Krishna. Yeah. Where are you going? We're going home. Where are you going? I'm going to work. Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we're going to read the next piece. Well, let me go down. You may have had questions that I didn't see. Question from Tanya. Question from Krishna Karshini. You skipped my question. You said we are coming back to Godhead, laughing, Krishna conscious, joyful. So our movement is full of unhappy and frustrated devotees. It's because they don't eat enough prasadam, that's why. They need more sweet balls. Joyful, why our movement is full of unhappy and frustrated devotees. I know it's a topic for a seminar. Because they don't eat enough gulab jamans, that's why. Go tell those unhappy devotees, you need to eat more gulab jamans. And when they get all that sugar in their body, they're going to be really happy. Because you know the answer, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the answer. Let's make that a little louder. What is the answer to this question? Because when you give up Maya, at least when you try to give up Maya, but you don't take Krishna fully, then you're left in no man's land. Ta-da. We need a sound effect for no man's land. You have just entered no man's land. You're not in Maya, and you're not in Krishna. You are in the middle of nothing. So, unhappy. It's like, okay, here's an example. Have any of you ever tasted neem leaves? They're bitter. Really, really bitter. If you've tasted a neem leaf, you'll appreciate this example. But just imagine something extremely bitter, like so bitter, you're like, ooh, like that bitter. So little pieces of that bitter leaf are in the sweet rice. So you're eating the sweet rice, which is like quite delicious, and all of a sudden you bite the bitter leaf. Ooh, it ruins the sweet rice, right? It'd be a cartoon. Prabhu, you ruined my sweet rice. But so material life is that bitter taste, and Krishna consciousness is the sweet rice. So, if you put neem leaves in your sweet rice, it's not going to taste good. Even though the sweet rice tastes good by itself, but now you have neem leaves. So we have these material attachments, and we don't do sadhana that well. We don't eat enough sweet rice. We got a lot of neem leaves in our life. This will be an esoteric T-shirt only for members of this sangha who are listening to these classes, and it'll say how many neem leaves are in your sweet rice, or it'll say get rid of the neem leaves in your life because they're destroying your happiness in Krishna consciousness. Let's say there's a beautiful kirtan, Hare Krishna, and everybody's just like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody's in ecstasy. And it's just like nectar is showering from Vaikuntha and Hare Krishna, and everybody's feeling ecstasy. And you walk in the temple, and you look at the kirtan leader and you go, that devotee, don't you know what that devotee did? 478,000 years ago, that devotee ate a grain on Ekadasi. Don't you know that? How can you let that devotee chant? I cannot relish this kirtan. I'm leaving. That's the neem leaf. How many neem leaves are in your sweet rice? How many neem leaves are in your life? Yeah, so you have too many neem leaves, and then all you're tasting is neem. Okay. 486,000 years ago, he ate a grain by accident. Not purposely, by accident. But that, you can't. That devotee is not a real devotee. Yeah, so you think like that. Okay. It's time for a funny story. Dun-dun-dun-dun. This is so funny, but this story is so edifying. So, as you may know, I lived many years in San Diego Temple. San Diego is in Southern California. That's where all the beautiful girls live, right? Southern California. Yeah. That's where Maya decided, many years ago, Maya decided, I'm going to move to Southern California. That looks like a nice weather, nice beaches. Yeah, so I think Maya moved to Southern California. So, our temple, I kind of, if you grow up like in India and you drink water that's not pure, your body develops immunity to it. And then all the Westerners come and we drink the water and we get dysentery. But so I grew up in Southern California, so I think I have immunity to Maya, Southern California Maya. Well, some degree, yeah. It's probably more attractive to those of you who've never lived there. But anyway, so we had a temple which was 2.5 blocks from the beach. And California, especially Southern California beaches, have a vibe that they attract a lot of homeless people because you can basically just sleep on the beach, sleep on the sand and hang out. And beach is a nice place to hang out. And anyway, a lot of homeless, what we call, for lack of a better word, lowlifes. Their life is, they're not doing well, alcoholics and so forth. Mentally ill people, a lot of homeless people are actually mentally ill. And so a lot of these homeless people, they don't have much, they don't bathe regularly. And sometimes they wear the same clothes day in, day out for days, weeks. And so one of these homeless people came into the temple, and he really, I don't know how to say it, but he actually smelled so bad that you couldn't stay in the temple when he walked in. The whole temple stunk. It was like, when you burn incense and you can smell it throughout the temple. Well, you could smell him. He really stunk. It was like, yeah, it was bad. I'll just say it was bad. The whole temple smells. Like you walk in the temple, it smelled really bad here. What is that? And you know what he said? This is so funny, and it's true, and it's such a good example. You know what he said? He said, this temple smells horrible. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. This place stinks. Hare Krishna. So, Krishna Karshani. Somebody walks into Krishna consciousness and their clothes in their brain and heart stink, and they think, oh, this Krishna consciousness doesn't smell good. That's the problem. You bring in your own stinky clothes, and then you think, you drop your neem leaves in the sweet rice, and you think, oh, this sweet rice is horrible. The cook doesn't know how to cook. That's the problem. You can't. So this is a true story from the history of the San Diego Temple. I remember this story distinctly because it's exactly what happens. We bring in our stinky consciousness, and then we think, Krishna consciousness is not that great. Have you ever done that before? That wasn't a nice kirtan. I didn't like it. Yeah, how could you allow that devotee to chant? It was a nice kirtan, but you had a neem leaf in your mind, or you had your dirty socks in your mind. Okay, here's another esoteric one. Don't chant Hare Krishna with dirty socks in your mind. Because if you chant Hare Krishna with the dirty socks in your mind, then you're going to smell the dirty socks instead of relish the holy name. And you'll think, oh, this chanting is boring. You remember that little skit? You you're talking to your bead bag and you're telling your beads, oh, you're boring. You're telling Krishna he's boring in the form of his holy name. Like, no, Krishna's name is not boring. And what did the bead bag say? Is that I think you have it backwards. I think you're boring. I'm like having fun all the time with my friends. We're not bored at all. I think the problem is you're boring. You've got dirty socks in your heart. You've got neem leaves all around you. Neem, yeah, it's another song. I've got neem leaves all around me, making everything Krishna conscious bitter. So, get rid of your neem leaves. Should we retitle today's class, Get Rid of Your Neem Leaves? Only those who were fortunate enough to attend this class will understand the esoteric meaning of get rid of your neem leaves. Maybe we should make a daily video. Get rid of your neem leaves. Yeah. Every morning we brush out our neem leaves. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Get rid of those neem leaves. Yeah. But it's the same idea where Prabhupada says you put your mundane idea on who Krishna is. So, you don't understand him. You think, oh, Krishna's got a girlfriend. He's just like everybody else. I could have a girlfriend. Why don't I have like 16,000 girlfriends also? That's like neem leaves on steroids. Krishna has 16,000. I can have 16,000 also. Yeah. That's worse than neem leaves. That's something. I have to think of another example for that. That's like an atomic bomb in your heart. Okay, so I'm going to go down and see. Question by Param Alanda. Is it true that in the time of Kali Yuga, everyone is born like a Shudra? Kalo Shudra Shambhava, yes. Worse, lower. Shudra is a compliment. But what about when one is born a Vaishnava family? He is automatically grown up. Yes. Vaishnav. Kalo Shudra Shambhava, and Kali, basically it's saying, if your parents didn't do Garbhodhan Samskara, if you have two Brahminical parents who did Garbhodhan Samskara, yeah, then pretty much you can say you're a Brahmin. You were born a Brahmin. I was born a Brahmin. But the verse is there is because nobody's doing the samskars. So you're a so-called Brahmin, but your parents didn't do the samskars. So what makes you a Brahmin unless you qualify? And so you're not a Brahmin by birth because the samskars weren't done. So this pure Brahminical line or pure Kshatriya line or Vaishya line, it's not maintained because you don't do the birth samskars. So that's why it says everyone starts out at the bottom because there's no samskars. But if you're born a Vaishnava, there's samskars. So therefore, it's different. But even it's also said, not even Shudra. Below, everyone's a Shudra, that's a compliment. Things have gotten worse. Everyone is not a Shudra, because Shudra means you're still in Varnashram. So everyone's not, who's in Varnashram? Who's following Varnashram? So not even Shudra. And then the funny thing, it says, in Kali Yuga, the Brahmins, what does it say? I forgot. The demons are born in Brahmin families. That's another interesting one, isn't it? In Kali Yuga, the demons are born in Brahmin families. Don't be so proud. Someone comes up and he says, I'm a Brahmin, I'm born in a Brahmin family. Oh yeah, I have a verse for you. There's another Bhakta Burfi. I am born in Brahmin family. And Bhakta Burfi reads the verse. Oh yes, right here it says, in Kali Yuga, atheists and demons will be born in Brahmin families. Have you seen that verse? It'd be so funny, huh? Hare Krishna. Question by Brennan. How best can serve with book disruption? I don't understand. What's book disruption? Please share some experience on preaching and how to preach. I should give a seminar on it. I have given a course one time. You mean book distribution, not book disruption. They seem to have their walls up. Your mercy, could you? Oh, yeah. That's Vaisheshika Prabhu is the Acharya. He's the Acharya of getting people to stop. Excuse me, sir, can you put your walls down for a moment? Looks like your walls are up. Well, Tanya, maybe you just need to wear more makeup. Then all the men will stop. Use your secret weapon. Excuse me, sir. Big smile. Vaisheshika Prabhu is the Acharya in this area. But we're on a different topic now. Question by Satya Rupadas. About God helps those who help themselves. So Draupadi, yeah, we answered that question yesterday. Parker Brown. These are yesterday's questions. How wrong is the Bhakta Burfi, though? We answered that one. We talked about karma. And another aspect of karma is Krishna can change your karma. He can keep, the one thing I didn't say, Parker, if you're listening, and all of those, that Krishna can keep your karma because your karma may be useful for purification or whatever. So Krishna will keep that karma. Ernest Becker, yeah. So there's a book called The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. And I think Rabbeinu Swarup Prabhu has given talks on that. But anyway, if you go on Google and you just Google quotes from Denial of Death by Ernest Becker, you'll be amazed at how insightful his observations are. Maybe we can read some of them. If anyone wants to go and send me some of the quotes that they like from him, that would be nice. Indra Swami said when the devotees wanted to drive, Prabhupada said, you're going to kill me the way they're driving. Yeah, so it's not like we're not cautious about material things. Both Hamlet and Arjuna had to kill their kinsmen, and both were paralyzed by uncertainty. And where their duty lies. Wow, interesting. Jan must be. Someone told me that Thursday afternoon thing was applicable to Srila Prabhupada because of this. Maybe. Could be. But Thursday afternoon is an inauspicious time in general. These are yesterday's, you have to remember yesterday's class. Do you remember Govinda the astrologer? She wrote a book, Don't Mess Up Your Life with Astrology. Yeah. So there's a book called Don't Mess Up Your Life with Astrology, showing how all the ways it's misapplied and misunderstood. And ultimately, Krishna is surrender to Krishna. You're good in most cases. You can use astrology properly, but it's easily misused. Okay, so we talked about the sannyasi who engaged in marriage devotees who were not compatible, is still afraid to come to Poland after 30 years. He's different now. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that is such a funny story. So Tanya's asking, were there any questions from yesterday, or of course today? Time is a form of Krishna, yeah, Kala. And there's a whole lecture. And then Prabhupada, that whole, I don't want to bow down. No, you will bow down. And Rabbeinu Swarup talks about it. Material world is a distraction from reality. Yeah, that's a good t-shirt, right? You know what I was thinking? If one of you want to do this, this would be so cool. I was thinking, what I would like to do is we find, and I go, that'll make a good t-shirt, and we just edit it. So we have like 15 of these, we make a video, and the video will be called, that'll make a great t-shirt. So if somebody just goes through all if there was, I don't know, maybe there's an app that can find when somebody says something and go and tell you, search the video. This video, it says it here. That would be amazing. But wouldn't that be fun to have a video as just me? And then I go, that would make a great t-shirt. And then I say it. And then the next video, this is Bhakta Burfi. That would make a great, so we just have all these, that would make a great t-shirt. And then you go to the next one. And then we do a Bhakta Burfi. That's a Bhakta Burfiism. And then we have this compilation. I think it would be like Supra. That would be supra-mundane, wouldn't it? So Krishna Karshani says, I don't like talking about death. Well, Krishna Karshani, you need to have a conversation with Krishna. You have some issues with Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita to talk about it. So you need to deal with that. You need to talk to Krishna about that and try to sort it out with him. I think it's like anything. Okay, anything you don't want to talk about. I don't want to say anything, but think of a lot of things you don't want to talk about and ask yourself, why don't I want to talk about them? And some of them obviously are because I don't want to deal with it. And you have to deal with it. I'll think about it later. Do your homework. I'll do it later. Do your exercise. I'll do it later. Talk about death. I'll talk about it later. It's better to talk about it now and be prepared. Yeah. Well, the good news is you don't die, so don't worry about it. Joe, well, this is a distraction from reality. Yes. Davina, you're a comedian, right? You could make some comedy with you. Maybe you should be Bhakta Burfi. Or Bhaktin Burfiette. Something like that. And you could take do all these Bhakta Burfi stories. Bhakta Burfi would be like he's just like agitate everybody with his shastra, It's just like he'll say the wrong thing. He'll say it at the wrong time and it'll be completely foolish. It'll be a big hit. Maybe Davina, you're the one to do it. Mangalananda. Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising, though it's not at all surprising. We'll be dancing in the street, telling everyone we meet, we're going home, we're going home. I used to be able to play that. How come I can't play it? What's wrong with me? Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising. Oh, it's not at all. Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising. What's wrong with it? Oh, it's not at all. Oh, it's not at all surprise. We'll be dancing in the street, telling everyone we meet, we're going home, we're going home, home, we're going home. For another day. Somehow or other, it's not working. We'll get it. Remind me tomorrow. Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising. There it is. You got it on YouTube. You can all listen to it. And if I touch that, am I going to get there and this class is going to be over? Okay, I won't touch it. Okay. Yes. Jai Rasika. According to today's lecture, every devotee must go to the street and do Harinam. In this way, prepare for his next life. Yeah. Well, do some chanting and dancing and Krishna Katha, and that way you prepare. San Diego was the first temple I went to. Great example of the man who smelled so bad. In the temple. Yeah, that's such a good analogy. The man who smelled. Today we have a story about the man who smelled so bad. Get rid of your neem leaves. New t-shirt. Yeah. Hey everybody, get rid of your neem leaves. Yeah, yeah. Where neem leaves was in our mind makes our taste for Krishna consciousness bitter. Yeah, that's it. We're going to write many songs, Marco. Neem leaves would be a great daily video. Explain nicely why we don't relish the holy names. Okay, we're going to write that down. I have to do one video on conspiracy, like what do we do about conspiracy theories, and neem leaves. Should I sing a song on the daily video? Neem leaves in your mind? There was a song by, what's his name, that guitar player? I've got Carolina in my mind. What's his name? Can't think. Famous. Starts with an A, right? I've got Carolina in my mind. We'll change it. We'll sing the same song. I've got neem leaves in my mind. What's his name? Taylor, right? Something Taylor. What's his first name? Thinking of a devotee's name. His last name is Taylor also. You know that guitar player? Carolina in my mind. What's his name? Anyway. It's Taylor, right? His last name is Taylor. Yeah. So we'll use... I've got neem leaves in my mind. A Netflix series. Bhakta Burfi. Hare Krishna. Laugh your way back to Godhead, everyone. Okay, Davina is going to be Bhaktin Burfi, and she's going to send me her first. But you have to go through all the lectures to get all the Bhakta Burfis. Or we have to talk about it and see if I remember. Or Davina, put your email address, and then everybody who remembers the Bhakta Burfi events, they'll send the examples to Davina, and then Davina will WhatsApp and discuss it. James Taylor, yeah, that's it. I've got neem leaves in my mind. That's his new song. Oh, yeah. That's funny. We'll have to do that. That would be funny on a daily video, right? Play songs. Okay. Yeah. I've got neem leaves in my mind. Amazing. Okay. So, should we read something else? We just got through the questions. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Krishna Priya. It starts with the great 17th century French philosopher. Just that paragraph. And maybe... Oh, I promised you. Okay. Okay. All right. I have to wear headphones. We're going to try something amazing. This could be a breakthrough. I want to see if I can play something for you directly for you to hear. And then you could hear my Rasa Leela reading as a treat for you. So I'm going to see if this works. Okay, I'm going to hit play. Let's see what happens. I want you to tell me if you can hear this. It's the autumn season. It's midnight. And Sham plays his flute. The gopis' hearts melt. And they leave their families, their husbands, their children, and they run through the forest in the dead of night. They sacrifice everything for Krishna. He is more dear to them than their own life. And when he sees him, and when he sees them, he appears surprised. And he tells them, "This is not the place for you. It's dangerous here. It's late at night, and you've left your families. You should go home. This is not right. You're married women." And the gopis plead, "Please, don't reject us here. You stole our hearts. We cannot go home. Please, pour your nectar lips on our burning hearts. Let us touch your feet. We want no one else. When we see your face and your curling hair, it makes us only want you. We just want to love you more and more." Your smile, it dazzles our hearts. And the playing of your flute, it dazzles our hearts. What girl could maintain her moral vows upon hearing your flute? Even the cows and the trees and the deer, when they hear your flute, their love just rises high. They can't contain themselves. And then he went with them to Jamuna's shores. And with his soft embrace, jokes, and laughing smile, they danced. But when their pride arose, Krishna left the dance in the gopis' hearts. Destroyed. And all they could do was play out his leelas to pacify their minds. They were burning in pain. They were trying to forget him, feeling that he's so cruel, ungrateful, but they couldn't forget him. Then they pray to him in a loving mood. "We gave you our life. We gave you our families. Please don't abandon us now. When we think of you, we just want you more and more." Krishna returns and consoles them. "I'm not mad. I have always loved you. And your love, it is so pure, I can never repay you." The gopis glance at him and they smile with their love. And overwhelming joy overtakes them, and their hair falls down, and they begin singing songs of love and many special tunes. And then they dance through the night, through a day of Brahman. It's just like a moment's time. And then they go into Jamuna's waves, and they laugh with their Lord, and the gopis splash him from all sides. And he enjoys the fun just like an elephant amidst a group of she-elephants. And the gods above, seeing this, shower flowers down upon the Lord and his most cherished devotees, the gopis. So that was actually straight from the Bhagavatam on Rasa Lila in a summary form. So I hope you enjoyed that. I promised you if you waited till the end, you would have a gift, and that was my gift to you. And that was a test, just to see if that would be appreciated. And if you like that, and you let me know, and then I can do more. That was my plan. I was just fooling around spontaneously. I have a song, and that's from the song. And so I hope to give you more gifts. I think this is like an amazing way to do Krishna Smaranam, to just get absorbed in like the emotion of the Leela. And so I'm inspired. I have another project to work on. I'm trying to finish. It's taking forever with the guided meditations we're doing. And once any of you want to fly out here, you can work on it for me. It would be hard to do from a distance, at least at this point. So I'm going to do more of these Krishna. We'll call it Krishna Smarna or Krishna mantra, Krishna meditations. Yeah, something like that. Get more absorbed in thinking of Krishna. So I think that's the goal, right? Be absorbed in Leela. And so I just happened to have this written in poetry, and I was just looking at it and kind of ad-libbing from it. So it was very concise. That's the whole, I don't know which chapter, but it's the chapter in Prabhupada titles it the Rasa Leela in Bhagavatam. And we could do more, but I'm thinking that short meditation is nice. Okay, thank you for your encouragement. It seems like you like it. My wife liked it, and if she likes it, that's good. Getting her to like something's got to be high quality. So now you all want me to post that. I want to re-record it and do it a little better, because that was just done live. I can't mix the music and the voice, and there are mistakes in the voice and like that. So that's something to look forward to, that I can offer you as a service to you, to help you remember Krishna. My goal is to help you remember Krishna 24/7. So I guess we need 365 of these meditations, right? One for every morning. You wake up and listen to it. Okay, it's my meditation. And then we chant japa. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you all. And tomorrow, I'm doing a number of things tomorrow and Sunday. But we're not having the 8 a.m. class. So we will post, if not already posted. And unfortunately, I don't know if Radha Priya is here to tell you what we're doing tomorrow, because she would have the schedule. But okay, what we're going to do is, I'm going to go look at the schedule, and I think it's going to put you on pause and then I'll come back. So if I don't come back in like a minute or less, this should only take like 20 seconds. So if I'm not back in a minute, that means the class is over. So let's try this. I'm going to look at my calendar. Hey, it worked. Well, tomorrow there's absolutely nothing, and on Sunday there's 3 events. So, oh yeah, I forgot. Brain not working. Screws are loose. Let's screw them back in. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we have a class for the Australians on the 6th. I think we're on the 6th or 7th, quality of ineffective people. So you're all welcome to that. And Sunday there's 3 events and we'll put them up. Thank you, Hare Krishna. And now I get to take breakfast. Hari Hari Bol. Jai Prabhupada. Gauranga.